Ever notice how some businesses just seem to glide through turbulent times, while others, facing the same conditions, really struggle to stay afloat?
Yeah, it's striking sometimes.
Often it seems to boil down to something that sounds simple but is actually incredibly powerful: cost.
Exactly. Cost management.
So today we're taking a deep dive into optimizing cost for operational excellence. We've pulled together insights from some really comprehensive source material that lays out a detailed roadmap for how businesses can actually identify, analyze, and, systematically get rid of costs that aren't really adding any value.
And for you, listening in, think of this deep dive as your shortcut. It's about grasping the crucial concepts behind making any business not just survive, but actually thrive, making it more efficient, more competitive,
Right. We're hoping to uncover some maybe surprising facts about where costs really hide, often in plain sight.
and more importantly, how you can actually tame them, how you can use cost optimization to genuinely transform a company's financial health.
Okay, so where do we even start with this? It feels like a huge topic. Our source material suggests starting right at the beginning with the customer.
Makes sense. Everything flows from there.
The material we looked at makes it really clear. A customer is basically anyone who receives a product or service from a work activity. That could be external, the people bringing in revenue, or internal, someone else within your own organization.
And here's a fundamental point the research really hammers home. Customers essentially define quality. It's their perception that matters most.
That's a huge point. It means you've got to listen really carefully, not just to their immediate performance needs, things like, wanting a product quickly or with zero defects or maybe just at a low cost.
But also to their broader business requirements.
Hmm.
Things like demanding cost reductions from their suppliers, or maybe needing specific capabilities they don't currently have.
Right. And what's interesting is how these needs then translate into tangible benefits. The source breaks it down into these distinct features and benefit categories that customers actually care about.
Things like quality, obviously, which covers reliability, defect rates, all that. That cost efficiency, pricing, even repair costs.
Speed is always huge: lead times, delivery times.
Absolutely. And service and safety warranties, liability, even environmental stuff fits in there. And finally, there's corporate responsibility, ethical conduct, risk management. That's becoming bigger and bigger.
That's a really useful framework. And if you drill down even further, the specific needs customers often talk about are things like, well, price, obviously, quality, maintainability.
Service delivery is key warranty support, for instance. Ease of use, reliability is massive. And just getting clear information.
All these elements, as our source points out, ideally should, excite and delight the customer. It mentions the Kano model in this context.
The Kano model. Yeah, the material just touches on it, but it's a great concept. It's not just about meeting expectations.
It helps categorize needs, right?
Exactly. Into three levels. You've got your basic needs, the absolute minimum you expect, like your car starting. Then performance needs, where more is better, like fuel efficiency.
Okay.
And then the excitement needs. These are the delightful, unexpected things that build real loyalty, like maybe a cool feature in that car you didn't even know you wanted.
Like a panoramic sunroof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something like that. The key insight here is you absolutely cannot skimp on the basics.
Sure.
But the real competitive edge, and maybe where you focus some cost optimization efforts, often comes from those surprising delighters.
Interesting. Okay, so connecting this customer focus to the bigger picture of business thinking.
Hmm.
There's been a really fundamental shift, hasn't there?
Oh, absolutely. A huge shift.
For decades, the old way of thinking about profit was pretty straightforward. Profit plus cost equals price.
Right. You figure out your cost, add your margin, and that's what you charge. Simple.
But the new way flips that completely on its head. Now it's price minus cost equals profit.
And this is strategically vital because in most markets today, it's your competitors or just the market forces that largely dictate the selling price.
So you can't just raise prices easily.
Exactly. Which means your main lever for boosting profit isn't price anymore. It's relentlessly reducing your costs.
It's not just a formula change, it sounds like a whole mindset change.
It is. It's a fundamental shift in where the power lies. If the market sets your price, then cost optimization becomes your primary strategic battlefield. It's not just accounting anymore. It's survival and growth.
And why is profit itself so critical? I mean, beyond the obvious of making money, the research emphasizes it's not just about enriching shareholders.
No, it's the lifeblood. It's what allows a business to maintain its operations, to reinvest in new equipment or R&D, and to grow.
And profitable businesses contribute more broadly, too, right?
Definitely. Through taxes that support society, through creating and sustaining jobs, it's essential for a healthy economy.
Which brings us directly to why some companies thrive and others don't. Why do they win or lose?
Well, the reasons for failure are often related to this cost equation. Competitors offering similar stuff cheaper is a big one.
Or their own internal costs just spiral out of control.
Exactly. Or they misjudge the market and price things wrong. Or sometimes they just don't get enough sales volume to cover their fixed costs.
And conversely, the winners,
They're the ones who can offer products more affordably than the competition because they manage costs better.
they control and proactively manage those costs. It's not reactive.
Precisely. Their pricing covers costs and allows for growth. They pick the right markets to play in. And, crucially, they get enough sales volume. It's all interconnected, like a finely tuned machine, as you said earlier.
Okay, let's break down costs themselves. Where does the money actually go? Understanding that seems like step one.
Absolutely. The material we reviewed gives a pretty stark breakdown for a typical manufacturing company. Get this. Materials and supplies often account for a whopping 81% of costs.
81%. Wow.
Yeah, labor comes in around 15%, and energy is typically only about 4%.
That 81% for materials just jumps off the page. It shows where a huge chunk of the opportunity must lie.
Definitely. And if you zoom into a specific work area, the costs spread out even more. Under input, you've got materials again, but also design costs, training, admin, equipment, buildings, overheads, transport.
And then for processing, you've got labor, consumables, energy, maintenance.
Right. And for output, things like transportation again, packaging, storage, and crucially, defects and rework, plus inspection costs.
The challenge, as the research notes, is trying to neatly bucket these into process costs, product costs, and business overheads. It's not always clear-cut.
No, it can get quite complex, especially allocating overheads accurately.
This leads us straight to a really critical foundational idea: waste. How does our source define waste?
Very simply, but powerfully. Waste is anything that adds cost or time but does not add value.
Okay. And what is value adding then?
Those are the activities that actually transform raw material or information into something the customer genuinely values and is willing to pay for. If an activity doesn't do that transformation.
It's waste, by definition.
Correct.
That definition sounds simple, but, in practice, spotting what truly adds value versus what's just, like habit or an unnecessary step, can be really tough, especially in complex operations.
Oh, absolutely. Waste is often hiding in plain sight, disguised as the way we've always done things.
Our source dives deep into how this waste manifests. It lists 8 major types. They're pretty vivid once you start looking for them. First one, defects and rework.
Yeah, think scrap metal, offcuts from material, rejected parts on an assembly line, even typos or errors needing correction in documents or code.
You can probably think of examples right now in your own work, or even like cooking at home, right? Little bits of waste that add up.
They really do add up. The cost of poor quality is often vastly underestimated.
Okay, number 2, overproduction.
This is a big one. Simply making more stuff components, finished goods, than the very next process needs, or more than the customer has actually ordered right now.
Why do companies do that? Just
know.
to keep machines running.
Often, yeah. Or poor forecasting, or trying to minimize setup times by running large batches. But the hidden costs are huge. Storage space, capital tied up in unsold inventory.
Risk of obsolescence too, right?
Big time, especially in fast-moving tech or fashion industries.
Next up, waiting.
This is any idle time. Processes waiting for people or materials, people waiting for information, approvals, machines to finish a cycle.
Like a machine sitting idle on the factory floor, or me waiting for a slow website to load.
Exactly. All that waiting halts the workflow. It's a direct cost, often invisible on a balance sheet, but incredibly impactful. Time is literally money here.
Number 4 is interesting, non-effective use of resource or talent.
Yeah, this one resonates especially in knowledge work, but it applies everywhere. It's about underutilizing the skills, experience, creativity, even the leadership potential within your team.
So people capable of more doing repetitive tasks, or just idle people and machines.
Both. If people or equipment aren't being used to their full potential to create value, that's a waste. A waste of talent, a waste of investment.
Okay, transportation. This seems obvious, but
Well, some movement of materials or information is always necessary, of course. But the question is, how much? Is it efficient? Or are we just shuffling things around unnecessarily, moving things between buildings, across the factory floor, even emailing files back and forth excessively? Every move adds time and potential for damage or loss, but usually no value.
Got it. Then inventory.
This is a double-edged sword. Too much inventory, excess raw materials, work in progress, finished goods, ties up cash, needs space, risks damage or obsolescence.
But too little is also bad.
Absolutely. Running out of stock constantly leads to production stoppages, missed delivery dates, lost sales, unhappy customers. Finding that right balance is key, and deviations in either direction represent waste.
Okay, number 7, motion.
This is about unnecessary movement by people. Think about time spent walking to get tools, bending, reaching, searching for files or parts. If the movement doesn't directly contribute to transforming the product or service.
It's waste. Accumulated second by second, minute by minute across a whole team.
Precisely. Poor workplace layout is a classic cause here.
And the final one, excessive processing.
This means putting more work or effort into something that is actually required, either by the next step in the process or ultimately by the customer.
Like polishing a part that's going to be hidden inside a machine.
Like-
Or creating super detailed reports that nobody actually reads or uses.
Exactly those kinds of things. Adding features the customer didn't ask for and won't pay for. Overcomplicating things. It adds cost, adds time, but no corresponding value.
That list of 8 wastes, defects, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, excessive processing, it's incredibly powerful when you start thinking about it.
It really is. Because, as the material emphasizes, the core idea behind all these manufacturing wastes, and really they apply to any operation, service industries included, is just that simple principle. Anything that doesn't add value adds cost.
These are the places efficiency is hiding, right there in plain sight once you know what to look for.
Yeah. Identifying them is the first step. The next is figuring out how to prevent them through better process design.
Which naturally leads us to optimizing the flow of work. This is where concepts like pull systems come in, right? A key idea for streamlining things.
Exactly. A pull system is fundamentally different from traditional push manufacturing. In a pull system, processes are triggered by actual customer demand. Work is literally pulled through the system only when it's needed by the next step or by the end customer.
So you're not just making stuff based on a forecast and hoping it sells.
Right. That's the push system. Make all you can, push it downstream, deal with the inventory pileups. A pull system aims to synchronize production directly with demand. Ideally, the pull rate is set precisely by what the customer is buying right now.
Making what is needed when it is needed.
That's the mantra. And the benefits, as the research clearly shows, are huge. Reduced operational costs, lower overheads because you need less management of inventory and scheduling complexity,
Less inventory itself, freeing up cash and space.
significantly less inventory, faster response times to changes in customer demand or market shifts, and ultimately much higher customer satisfaction because you're more responsive.
So how do you actually implement a pull system successfully? What are the steps?
Well, first, you absolutely have to understand the demand rate. How often does the customer actually want your product or service? Then you need a robust way to monitor your performance against that demand rate.
Okay.
Third, you have to actively manage the flow of materials and information to prevent bottlenecks from forming, which would disrupt the pull signal. And finally, it's never done. You need a mindset of continuous improvement, always looking for ways to refine the flow.
It's all about that value chain idea.
Yeah.
Making the product flow smoothly.
When it is needed, in the amount that it is needed.
This brings us to some crucial metrics. Key performance indicators, KPIs, for measuring this flow. One really important one mentioned is takt time.
Takt time. Crucial concept. The material defines it simply as production time available divided by the number of units the customer demands in that time.
So if you have 8 hours of production time and the customer wants 480 units that day.
Your takt time is 1 minute per unit. 480 minutes, 480 units. It's the heartbeat of the system. The ideal pace your production needs to maintain to perfectly match customer demand. Not too fast, not too slow.
It sets the rhythm for everything.
Precisely. It synchronizes the whole operation to the customer's pulse.
And for inventory, you mentioned metrics like day supply and inventory turns.
Yeah, those give you snapshots of how much inventory you have relative to demand and how quickly it's moving. Our source also points out common problems with stock movement. It's too slow, maybe too fast in some areas, causing shortages elsewhere, just plain too much or not enough.
Or even just, where the heck is it?
Exactly. Lost or misplaced inventory is pure waste. All these issues signal that the flow isn't optimized, that waste is lurking.
Okay, let's clarify 2 terms that often get mixed up but are vital here. Cycle time versus lead time.
Yes, super important distinction. Cycle time is the total time it takes to complete one step or a whole sequence of steps within your internal process. From the start to the end of a specific task or operation, it's what happens inside your four walls.
So the time to actually make the thing or perform the service step?
Basically, yes. Lead time, on the other hand, is the total time from when a customer places an order until they receive the final product or service. It's the customer's total waiting time experience.
Much broader. Includes waiting times, queuing times, shipping.
All of it, from order to delivery. And crucially, variations in your internal cycle times directly impact the overall lead time.
How so? What causes variability in cycle time?
Oh, lots of things. Inconsistent machine performance, long setup times between different products, unexpected breakdowns, having to do rework because of defects, low yield rates, meaning you have to make more attempts.
Differences between operators, maybe?
Definitely. Operator skill and consistency matter. And processing things in large batches often introduces delays and variability compared to a smoother single-piece flow.
And the key takeaway from the research here is pretty stark. Cycle time increases with variability.
Absolutely. The more unpredictable your internal processes are, the longer, on average, it will take to complete them, and the longer your customer lead time will be. Managing variability is key to shortening both.
So what's the big deal about having a short lead time? What are the real benefits?
They are huge. Shorter lead times mean you can run through learning cycles, faster design, build, test, feedback, which accelerates improvement. It boosts productivity and throughput, obviously.
And you mentioned it helps uncover problems.
Yes. Because there's less work-in-process inventory acting like a buffer, problems like machine downtime or quality issues become immediately visible and demand attention. Less WIP is a good thing.
And the big one for the customer.
Customer satisfaction. Short lead times mean flexibility and responsiveness. You can react faster to their changing needs. The visual our source uses is spot on. Long lead time equals low flexibility. Short lead time equals high flexibility. It's a direct relationship.
There's a great analogy the material uses too about a boat and rocks.
Ah, yeah, the boat and rocks analogy. It's classic lean thinking. Imagine your process is a boat sailing on water. In many traditional processes, the water level representing work-in-process inventory is kept deliberately high.
Why? To buffer against problems.
Exactly. To hide the rocks underneath the surface, the machine breakdowns, the quality problems, the long setup times, all those sources of waste and delay. High inventory makes the process seem smooth, but it hides the problems and keeps lead times long.
So lead time reduction is like lowering the water level.
Precisely. You intentionally reduce the WIP, lower the water, which forces you to expose those rocks, the time traps, the inefficiencies. Then you have to eliminate them, smooth out the riverbed. That's how you fundamentally shorten lead time and eliminate waste. More time equals more cost, poorer quality, lower productivity. Reducing lead time tackles all of that.
Okay, so you've identified the waste, you understand the principles of flow and pull systems. Now comes the hard part, maybe, actually making changes happen in a real organization. And crucially, how do you justify the investment needed?
That's always a key hurdle. You have to ask, is this change really worthwhile? Will it genuinely cut costs? Will it improve productivity or quality? Will it maybe even boost team morale?
Can you even get the support you need from management, from the team? And if you have multiple ideas, which ones get priority?
Right. And when you're looking at the cost of the change, you have to think broadly. There's the obvious initial cost, new equipment, software, training.
But also hidden costs.
Definitely. The time involved in implementing the change itself has a cost. Delaying a beneficial change also has an opportunity cost. Are there extra services needed? Storage. And what about ongoing costs, maybe higher energy use, new maintenance requirements?
You need the full picture of costs. And on the other side, the benefits.
Exactly. Tangible reductions in operating costs are great. Improved output, better quality, safety improvements are huge, maybe a positive environmental impact. The challenge is often putting a clear monetary value on all those benefits to build a compelling business case.
So once you've done that analysis, you need to convince people. How do you convince the boss?
Keep it clear and data-driven. Show them the problem maybe visually, with photos or data. Clearly demonstrate how the calculated benefits outweigh the total cost. And crucially, calculate the payback period. How quickly will this investment pay for itself? Make it easy for them to say yes.
Makes sense. And what about convincing the team on the ground, the people directly affected?
That's just as important, maybe more so for actual success. You need to talk openly about the impact on them and their current ways of working. Explain how the changes will be managed, training, support, timelines. And be clear about how results will be monitored and shared. Getting their buy-in and involving them in the process is absolutely critical.
Okay, so you've got the justification, you've got the buy-in. What about the implementation itself? What makes it successful?
The research highlights some key elements. First, a really clear scope and set priorities. You can't change everything at once. Second, dedicated resources people, time, budget.
A proper plan.
Yes, a detailed, mapped-out schedule with milestones. Then, robust ways to review progress and report back, keeping everyone informed. Maintaining that buy-in throughout the process is vital. And finally, embedding a culture of continuous improvement. It's not a one-off project, it's an ongoing journey.
And measuring success. What are you looking for?
Ultimately, you want to see unit costs going down, track total cost per unit, but also break it down. Material cost, energy cost, labor cost, maintenance cost per unit. And obviously track the payback results against your initial calculation. How long did it really take?
The big goal is simple, right?
Simple and powerful. Productivity up, costs down. That's the ultimate measure of successful operational excellence through cost optimization.
Before we wrap up, are there any crucial final checks, things you absolutely must do before implementing cost reduction plans?
Yes, a couple of really critical ones mentioned in the source. First, you must analyze the interactions between different cost components. Make absolutely sure that reducing costs in one area doesn't unintentionally increase costs somewhere else, or even worse, reduce the value delivered to the customer.
So, no unintended consequences.
Exactly. And second, and this is non-negotiable, you have to confirm that your cost reduction plans do not, under any circumstances, compromise required levels of regulatory compliance or, crucially, occupational health and safety standards. Safety and compliance always come first. No exceptions.
That's a vital point. Okay, we've covered a huge amount of ground today. From really understanding how the customer defines quality and how that drives everything.
To digging into the 8 wastes, those hidden costs lurking everywhere.
The power of pull systems and optimizing flow, understanding tack time, lead time.
And finally, the practical steps for justifying, implementing, and measuring the impact of change.
It really drives home that optimizing costs for operational excellence isn't just about slashing budgets, it's much deeper. It's about truly understanding value from the customer's perspective.
It's about being relentless in identifying and eliminating every form of waste, streamlining how work actually flows.
And making smart, justified changes that benefit everyone, the business, the employees, and especially the customer.
So here's a thought to leave you with, drawing on everything we've discussed about waste and hidden costs. What's one area in your own life, maybe personal, maybe professional, where applying this kind of deep dive, thinking about value adding versus wasteful activities, might uncover some surprising efficiencies?
That's a great thought provoker, something for you to mull over. We definitely encourage you to keep exploring these concepts, tack time, the 8 wastes in your own context. See where you can apply these powerful ideas. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.